Morning, what up? It's a Friday, which means we do this.
Come on, man. Go for it, dude.
It's Friday! Friday!
You bet you know what it is. It's Friday. John here, you there. We'll get you ready for the weekend. Coming up in just a couple of minutes. It is Scott Wells, friend of the show, friend of the network, and head coach of a couple of different things. And with Scott, what we're going to do, we're going to catch up on his college. We're going to catch up on his pro, going to catch up on tournaments, and going to catch up on what's going on in and around Western North Carolina, because his bio reads like this. It is having to do with Gardner-Webb, having to do with Asheville City, and he's busy on one front, the college front, and he's going to get busy on the other front because of the announcements and the matchups that we talked about yesterday involving U.S. Open Cup. So Scott will drop by in a little bit, and we will discuss what's on his mind, and we'll catch up with them as they get ready for things. Morning, Ricky. And Ricky's first in the barn this morning. Morning, Will. And once again, let all your topics go on the timeline and the Twitch pitch, and we will discuss, and we'll say hi to everybody coming up in a little bit. See if we can catch up with our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring and get you ready for the weekend there as well. And also weekend preview. There's news and notes and transfer ideas and reports and juice boxes and all the things. And we also have, toward the end of the show, we do have our standard bout of stupidity down here that we do have to get into. And we will discuss what happened last night in CONCACAF. We've got some highlights and some highlight and post from our friends at CONCACAF for what happened in the Triple C last night. If you missed it, goal at 90+9. Got a draw for a club on the road. It was a big road trip, by the way, big road trip. And then from there, we had a game that happened late, and we'll get into all of that. So for those that didn't quite make the 10 o'clock and do all of those things, your late game was just as exciting as your early game, but for a different reason, and it didn't quite happen as late as it did, which meant that your TV coverage of CONCACAF started at 10:04 as opposed to 10 o'clock, because matchups are supposed to be right at 8, right at 10. And the network that had it on last night, 10:04 was when everything finished, because they had like 9 minutes of stoppage in the second half. Then you got to get out, and you end up going to your second broadcast. So that's the rundown for today. We're going to catch up with Gardner-Webb, catch up with Asheville City, do that with one person when technology allows. Then from there, we will figure out what's going on with the rest of the planet, and we'll see what's going on there this morning. And so we will play the highlight, and you'll hear some posts from everything and anything that's going on there. So once again, hoping to catch up with Scott Wells here just a little bit, because he's got practice later this morning. So figured what we'd do is we'd have him bat leadoff, and we'll go through what's going on with him. So what we'll do while we're waiting for Scott, we'll go through all the promos and get you through everything that's that you need to know about when it comes to what you need and how you need to get it. First off, Fanaticos. Download the Chant app. Try saying that 10 times fast. Go to your app store. Download Chant. Go to the SDH section, and you can become a Fanatico. $10 a year, and you help grow the game through our programs, and then hopefully we in return can help you navigate your day-to-day with some really cool stuff over the course of 365 or 6 days. So keep an eye out on that. But like I said, go to Chant, and what you can do is you can download the SDH section, and then you can be a part of that there. Remember, also now, Morning Espresso, we now have a friend. We have a new friend that's officially a part of the family. We cover them a lot. We're still going to cover them a lot. Morning Espresso with Jason, that kind of gives you all the news you need to know in maybe 10 to 15 minutes. Sometimes he tries to keep it 10, but sometimes because of everything going on goes to like 15. You get a newsletter now if you're signed up for it, And what you can do is you can listen to Jason. Jason gives you your early blast of everything going on, newsletter form, and everything that he has on his plate to get you ready for the day. We go through things in like a broader, longer sense and catch up with folks. So Morning Espresso, listen to that early. You can watch it on YouTube, and you can, if you're into the video bit, you can watch Morning Espresso on YouTube. You can listen to it as you always do on your favorite podcatcher and your providers and things like that. You get a newsletter now, too. Thanks to our friends at Oglethorpe University. Oglethorpe University, now proud partner with us here at the SDH Network. In addition to coverage, they're hanging out with us, too, in official capacity. So very, very cool stuff from our friends at Oglethorpe. And you get to find out what's going on with Stormy Petrels and Hermant Stadium and all that kind of stuff as well. But Oglethorpe University, proud partner with us now. They're going to be a partner with us on the high school broadcasts, which start on Tuesday with North Atlanta and Decatur. They're going to be a part of that there. They're going to be a part of Morning Espresso. They're going to be a part of the network. So Morning Espresso, Oglethorpe. Thanks for hanging out and coming on and being a part of the family across the board here at SDH. Okay, morning kickoff. Opening kickoff at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. What you can do when you get your first cup of coffee, you can just buy the store out. Just go ahead and buy out the entire store at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. What you can do there is buy them out, but then you can buy them out and then you save 15%. How do you do that, you ask? Well, I'll tell you. What you do when you check out at Kickoff Coffee is use the code SoccerDownHere15 when you check out. Use that code, you buy out the store, but it's at 15% off. And then, in turn, our friends at Kickoff Coffee take 10%, reinvest it in youth games, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. So that is there. Now, when it comes to all the gear that you get to wear, all of the gear that you get, we can help you out in that regard. What you can do there is you can go to soccerdownhere.net. We still have gear there. We've got our gear store with the individual stuff. Now, with the collaborations we have, Olive and York, you can get the Soccer Down Here jersey, the first one ever, thanks to our friends at Kaiser Permanente. A long time partner with us here at SDH across the network. Great partner with us. Kaiser Permanente across the front, Beyond Goals on the sides. Did you see on Instagram where our friend Greg Garza was modeling with Maddie and Sophia? 247 coverage all the way across the board and just a little bit from everywhere. So 2, 4, and 7. I saw that and I was like, that's I don't know if that was on purpose. We'll have to ask Maddie next time she's on the show about the shoot. But Greg modeled it, Sophia modeled it, Maddie modeled it. 2, 4, and 7. Very cool stuff. Our friends at Olive and York, you can get the Navy jersey, and what you can do there is from that, you can either have it navy with white letters and numerals or navy with lighter blue letters and numerals. So you can do that, and it's all good in that regard as well. So you can do, you can have your navy, and I was with Abby, and we learned about Abby. We learned about Abby. And it's with Abby, and Abby was like dark navy, and I agreed with Abby. It's like it's a dark navy jersey, but apparently navy is just navy. So we all found that together, that navy is just navy. But anyway, navy jersey, and you get your choice of what you can get with your letters and your numerals. So white letters and numerals, Kaiser Permanente, Beyond Goals, Soccer for Good, all the things with our friends at Olive and York, our first collaboration with them. So get your jersey, sport it, go look at the shoot with Maddie, Greg Garza, and Sophia. Also, now, what you can also do is you can go to our friends at Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. And you can get the Soccer's Just Better in Atlanta gear. You can get that, and you can get that in the red or the black. And it's Soccer's Just Better in Atlanta in gold. And you can get it T-shirt, sweatshirt. The boss has already hijacked the black sweatshirt that we have here in the house. So I have the red one. Very, very comfortable. Very, very comfortable stuff that you can get there at Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. So don't forget, Soccer's Just Better in Atlanta, red and black. You can get that, Grady Baby Co. And when you invest in that and help out part of our Soccer for Good, what you do there is you help out our friends at Atlanta Public Schools. You're getting to benefit our friends at middle school soccer and middle school soccer programs at all the programs there with Atlanta Public Schools that are tied in. So you can do that, and you can hang out with our friends there with the Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. Get the Soccer's Just Better in Atlanta stuff, the red and the black, the sweatshirt, the T-shirt. You can get that there at Grady Baby Co. Help out middle school programs in the Atlanta Public School system. Now, time to go to North Carolina. A couple different things we got to talk about because he's a busy man, and we're kind of talk about 98 different things in about 14 minutes because he's got practice and stuff. And for this, we go to Gardner Webb and catch up with our buddy Scott Wells. Coach, thanks for dropping by this morning. It's a Friday. We're out of control already. Thanks for dropping by.
Thanks for reminding me it's Friday because I had no idea.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's Friday, which means it's the beginning of a lot of weekends. Thanks for doing this before practice. There were a couple of different things that I wanted to catch up with you with. First and foremost, how are you and how is everybody up there? See, this was an excuse for me to check in and see how things are. How are you and how is everybody?
Well, first off, John, thanks for having me. When you reach out, I know the USL2 season is upon us, or at least the recruitment side. So I'm excited for that. But no, things are moving in the right direction in terms of Asheville, and things are great here at Gardner Webb. Obviously, we just returned a couple of weeks ago. The boys have settled in after a nice break, and then we're right back to it. We're quite lucky, actually. We get we are in a spring league, so we play in the Carolina Cup over the course of the spring, which allows our boys to kind of stay locked in that in-season feel. So there's no rest really, and then of course, as you know, the announcement of the Open Cup and a great opportunity for Asheville to be taking part in that again against obviously a Greenville team that had a phenomenal season last year. So we're super excited. There's a lot of positive things going on this spring.
And since you mentioned Open Cup, I'll go ahead and go through that door. When you got your time with Asheville City, as evidenced, I always forget that I'm looking at my mirrors and things. And so the Asheville City element here of Studio HD is off of my right shoulder, but since I'm left-handed, I have to go cross-handed to point it out. Asheville City in the Open Cup, what were the phone calls and all of the correspondence like when everything came out and it's like, okay, we're in it, cool, great. Now we've got Greenville. What were those conversations like, and how was your phone blowing up?
Yeah, I mean, the phone was blowing up for multiple different reasons, but we played One Knox last season, which was a great opportunity, and really enjoyed the occasion. But we really wanted to make sure, we was really hopeful that we were going to play another pro team. We wanted to have something different as well. So myself and Jimmy, the owner, had an inkling that it could be Greenville. We wasn't exactly sure. And then when it came out, we were super excited. And of course, 5 weeks into the USL2 season last summer, we were lucky enough to get Rodrigo Robles a contract at Greenville Triumph. So he was my first phone call, and super excited to play against him, who signed for another year. But obviously, we know the staff there as well. I think they've done a fantastic job. It's an unbelievable club. So we're hosting too. So we get to again bring the Asheville City supporters back. And create another really good occasion for them. And obviously, they've been through so much, so I'm sure they're looking forward to that as well.
What does the Open Cup mean to you specifically and everyone in your circle?
Yeah, I think it's a testament of all the hard work you put in last summer, to be included in the Open Cup. It's a professional competition. So, from an egotistical standpoint, you relish the opportunity to be in those high level moments. And super excited about, just kind of being part of it, really. And of course, the goal for every USL2 team is to upset the teams and to make it as far as we can, which of course we'll try to do. But we also, this is the one time where we just want to enjoy the atmosphere, enjoy the occasion, bring everyone together in Asheville. And again, it's a really good start off point for what's to come in the summer.
What'd you learn about yourself in Asheville last year as a head coach and as a franchise, you think?
Well, of course, I'm still disappointed that we didn't win the USL2. I think we outshot Seacoast 23-2 and lost 1-0. So that's a little bit still bitter in my mouth. But I did learn that keeping the group together is incredibly important, and creating a culture, which a lot of people will tell you, is almost impossible at the USL2 level because of people coming and going, and kind of at the detriment of whatever their schedules look like for the college season. So we learned a lot about keeping a group together and what that looks like, and the culture was just unbelievable last summer. I say that every summer because we've had great teams, but last summer was special because we're not only able to keep our group together, but we also had some additions kind of midway through that just meshed with the group really, really well. It's made me more hungry than ever to be 2 games away from winning the national championship, and I don't feel like I can let this go until we do win it. So I don't know if that means you'll see me here for a long time, or if hopefully it's coming.
Well, no, you've got open door policy here at any time. How difficult, you mentioned how difficult it is for continuity to keep roster and keep everything the same up there in Asheville. I mean, truly, how difficult is it at the USL League 2 level, from talking to your peers and everything, to have that kind of same roster, same philosophy, everybody gets it, and we still want to try and compete every single year at the level that we're at?
That's one thing I have learned. It's a process. It's a 2-3 year process. I mean, if you look back to my first season in 2022, there wasn't a whole lot of faces that were the same at the end of the season than there was at the start. It gradually got better, but it's really about the trust in the college coaches, and I have to thank them. West Virginia, Dan Stratford at West Virginia and Andy Wright, allowing me to keep their players throughout the whole summer. Carlos and Grant at Chapel Hill that I've done that 2 years on the bounce now. That's unheard of. But I think what we've tried to do at Asheville is create, a really good periodization plan where we're not burning these guys out. They're not going back to the college season with soft tissue injuries or just mentally exhausted. So I've been very, very fortunate that I've built up a good relationship with these college coaches, that they trust me for the duration of the summer. That allows us to keep these guys. So that's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. It didn't happen for the first 2 seasons, but last season we were lucky enough to keep everybody. I mean, we had Charlie Harper playing, who obviously got drafted to Colorado. We had him playing in that game, at the end there against Seacoast. And, again, that doesn't happen with a lot of Power 4 schools. So, incredibly grateful for the relationships and the trust that a lot of these college coaches have given me.
How is Western North Carolina on the whole right now?
Well, I mean, I think the consensus is out there that it's getting better. A lot of people will tell you it's not. It's starting to become this separation between how the city of Asheville looks and how the outskirts of Asheville look in terms of Black Mountain and Swannanoa. There are areas that we're talking about a 2-3 year process before things will become normal again. A lot of people are now going through the financial side of what they're trying to receive, what they deserve to be compensated, and what they're actually getting. So there's a lot of controversy between how much help is there for the city versus what Asheville itself looks like. So sometimes you don't want to be fooled in terms of it was only Asheville that was affected, because there's a lot of other areas in the surrounding parts that have been affected. So I mean, we look at the host family situation, for example. We had a lot of host families that were on the outskirts of Asheville that can no longer really, they don't have the cars or the transportation, or they don't have the ability to house players this summer. So yes, it's still affected, and I think social media and the coverage probably has kind of fell off a little bit, and you don't really see that, but it's still there, and I think it's going to be there for some time.
And that was one of the reasons, like I said, somewhat selfishly, that I wanted to catch up with you. It was one of the topics that I had. Yes, I wanted to catch up with you about Gardner Webb. Yes, I wanted to catch up with you about Asheville City. But at the same time, I wanted to catch up with you about how things are in Western North Carolina. What can we do, basically? Off the top of your head, what can we do?
Well, I think our club can do a massive amount this summer to really continue to keep recognizing how many people are struggling. I think it's going to take some time for me to get back to Asheville this summer and kind of see, how much has been affected. But I've spoke to host families over the last couple of weeks that are still not in the position. I've had conversations with people that have lost so much, that they just don't have the capacity to house. They're renovating, they're having to rebuild. So I think just highlighting that. In terms of resources, we did a good job in the fall, especially just after the hurricane. We did a good job of trying to provide resources and as much needs that we were told that Asheville needed there. But right now, I don't think it's that. I think it's just praying really and making sure that that these guys, have the right reimbursements and the right compensation that they deserve, because that's becoming the issue right now, is what people are actually receiving, that versus what they've actually lost. So highlighting that and keeping an eye on where people are in that sense is really important.
What about your other college counterparts over there in Western North Carolina, Virginia, and stuff? I know you guys kind of keep in touch a whole lot, but what's the feedback that you're giving each other about your program?
Yeah, we had a Big South head coaches meeting at the kind of midway point of January, and we obviously kind of communicated with each other of how that looked. Obviously, Mick, from Asheville, was in that meeting, and he was incredibly grateful for just the support that the Big South have given him, and that the other universities had tried to give him as well. But yeah, I mean, he's doing okay. I think the consensus is that he's one of the lucky ones, but he's still seeing every day that there's so many people affected by it. And so I think the surrounding areas in terms of the universities are starting to develop and get better. I think Asheville is doing much better. UNC Asheville is doing much better. But then you've got the Mars Hills, you've got the Montreats, they're affected massively too, whether it would be because of enrollment or whether it would be because of facility damage, So yeah, it's still there.
What's next for you? You got practice this morning and all this kind of stuff. So what's practice going to be like this morning? What's Rondo's?
Yeah. Well, we're in a very interesting situation right now, and it's exciting. But I think that we were very talented last season. Obviously, we were able to accomplish a lot here at Gardner-Webb, which I'm very, very proud of. But sustaining it is going to take even more than what we did last season. Sustaining, and trying to build a legacy here rather than just a one-off season. That's really important to me. I was lucky enough to sign a new contract in December.
All that.
Yeah, thank you. And it was important to me to have a body of work. It's not about remembering 2024 when Gardner-Webb won the Big South. It's about creating a legacy and creating a body of work where we can sustain it, which won't be easy in the new climate of college soccer, but we're doing everything we can. So we had a meeting with the boys when they arrived back about sustaining. We talked about a lot of programs that have been able to do that in college soccer. We talked about professional teams that have been able to sustain it, and it's a mental part. It's a mental piece. How do you go again? How do you pick yourself up and operate at that level again, and that passion and that excitement for wanting to do it again? It's not about walking around campus drinking a coffee and everyone saying well done and congratulations. Like, the Big South Championship is gone. That was in the past, and now it's our time again to prepare for the Big South. We have the Carolina Cup this semester, and there's some teams that have joined, which is going to make it more exciting. But it's all about preparing for August, so that's our mindset right now. And we return a really strong group, which is the nice part. But of course, we lost Elias Kodri, Lucas Moro, Kaio Hughes, Gianpaolo Nardi, some guys that were huge personalities in the locker room and a massive part of our culture. So we have to get back to work, and we have to find those right characters that can understand what the Gardner-Webb way,
2 weeks from today, you have your first preseason activity. How in the GWU, HEW, did you end up getting Cardinal Roy out of Quebec?
It's a recruitment tool, really. We've had a relationship with them since I arrived, and they like to do a Carolinas tour, every spring. So they don't just play us; they play a couple of. I think they play Elon as well this semester. But yeah, we have them come down and we watch their guys and some of their future guys, and it's a really good relationship that we've built and a really good recruitment tool for us. And again, it gives our boys an opportunity to get back on the field and prepare, because our first game of the Carolina Cup, well, we played Limestone after that, which is a powerhouse, obviously, in Division 2. And then we go ahead and play South Carolina in our first game of the season for the Carolina Cup. And South Carolina are definitely trending in the right direction. Tony's done a great job there. So, we're really excited about it, but we need to be ready. So we felt like it was the right game to prepare us.
No doubt. You and Tony Annan, I can't wait to see you two on the touchline going after it. That's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, I have a massive amount of respect for Tony. He's been great with me, a great mentor of mine, but he's done a great job last season. South Carolina had a great season, and obviously we love going there because their facility is just unbelievable. That's what you think of when you think about playing Division I college soccer. So we're super excited to go there, but I won't be taking it easy on him, that's for sure.
No doubt about it. As always, friend of the network, Scott Wells, head coach at Gardner-Webb, getting ready for his college season. He knows his first opponent in the Open Cup at Asheville City. And as always, it's great to catch up with you on a bunch of different things. Thanks for hanging out with us to kick off our Friday. Go to practice and stay warm, and we'll catch up soon, my friend.
Thank you, John. I appreciate you. Have a great rest of the spring, and I'm sure we'll be touching base soon.
Yeah, and college action, we definitely will. Carolina's Cup, you can bank on it. We'll catch up soon.
Thank you, sir. See ya.
All right, there goes Scott Wells, head coach at Gardner-Webb. Like I said, it was great to catch up with him on a couple different fronts because of wanting to, like I said, selfishly, when it comes to coaches in that footprint, I want to just make sure how things are. Because of everything that has happened after Helene, I just want to make sure how things are, what we can do, but how everyone is, those kinds of things. So when we catch up with UNCA, when we catch up with Montreat, when we catch up with Limestone, when we catch up with Lenore Rhine, when we catch up with Scott at Gardner-Webb, traditionally it is very selfish for me. I want to find out how things are in Western North Carolina. And it is a constant reminder of how we can all be a part of soccer for good. And keeping these conversations open, keeping these doors open, and making sure that everybody can see what's going on every single time out, that's important. And I think that hanging on to friends, new friends, and what have you, I think it's always important to check on your friends and check in on what's going on. And I think it's always going to be important for us to keep an eye on Western North Carolina, regardless of the level that we're talking about. I have full disclosure, one of my best friends, he and his wife make a point to go up to Asheville as much as possible so they can help out with the economy and can help out and give back in that way. So that, to me, that those kinds of things are great on that grassroots economic level. But what I also want to do is I want to catch up and find out what's going on with our programs that we know, with the coaches that we know, with the leagues and the teams that we know, and find out what's going on there. So to have an opportunity, like I said, once the Open Cup bracket came out and we saw those matchups, literally the first person I thought of was Scott. Because A, the college game, what's going on at Gardner-Webb. B, he now has his first matchup, and it's Greenville Triumph. And trust me, as we get closer and closer to the beginning of the USL seasons, we'll be ducking into as many teams that we'll be able to catch up with. Championship, League One, MLS Next Pro, anybody and everybody. I know that we've got Huntsville City scheduled coming up, I think, in a week and a half or so. We'll catch up with our friends from Huntsville City Football Club. So you can get ready for the season in all of these markets that are here in the Southeast. So if you've got a favorite club, let them know we're coming and that we want to hang out with them for about 10 or 15 minutes and catch up and find out what's going on with them as they get ready for their respective seasons. So you got a favorite club, knock on their door, yell at them and go, hey, SDH is coming. The morning show wants to talk. So just to let that go. But yeah, it was when the Open Cup brackets came out and the first round matchups came out, when I saw Asheville City and Greenville Triumph, it was a natural for me. First thing I thought of was talk to Scott Wells. So that was why I wanted to kick off our Friday after opening kickoff to catch up with Scott. So those kinds of things are always out in the open, and it was just something that was an absolute no-brainer from our point of view to start our Friday and to remind us about how wide our circle is and whom we can touch, and the impacts that we can have on a bunch of different levels. And Sharif, thank you for, by the way, Sharif was interested in going to Asheville. And that was the other question that I didn't have the chance quite to get to talk to Scott about, is going to the UNCA campus and seeing a match there. We try to run highlights occasionally, and we'll let you know what's going on in and around League Two with our weekly shows and things like that. But you look at the environment that they've created there in Asheville when they were on the hillside and trying to, start that environment there with Mystery Soccer Theater 3000. We wanted to go up there. We wanted to be a part of it, and we saw what it meant. And now that they're renovating all the downtown facilities, literally up the hill from McCormick Field, they're at UNCA. And so it's a great environment and a great soccer town for, that particular, for USL League Two and what you're seeing. So Asheville City's making inroads. It's a great soccer town. And I would recommend, if you want to knock out a couple of different things and help out in a couple of different ways, go to Western North Carolina. Go see our friends at Hickory. Go see in the NPSL. Go see our friends in League Two. Find those towns that you can help out. Find those places that you can help. Catch a little soccer. Give back to the community. Give back in a couple of different ways. So, but once again, thanks to Scott, because like I said, he was getting ready for practice. And so he was storming out the door. And the fact that I sent him an email, he's so busy right now. The fact I sent him the email and I mentioned him on Twitter, it's like, oh yeah, it's Friday. That's how quickly he's running around. So like I said, always great to catch up with our friends and find out how we can help and be a part of what's going on with them. Okay. All right. Now let's catch up with everybody and find out what is going on on the planet. So good morning, Ricky. Morning, Will. Yeah, Ricky's mentioning this particular story, and I'll go ahead and post the lower third. Are people so corn dog for Messi that they'll make up a fake game about his son scoring 11 goals on Atlanta United's U13? Yeah. So like I said, in this age of information, the story went out. Like I said, we didn't talk about it because, we tried to verify the thing. And as it turns out, it was just kind of put out there. And then somebody sits there and goes, ooh. And they tell two friends and they tell two friends and so on and so on and so on. Like I said, that because of things like today, excuse me, because of, people wanting to get out there and do first, they want to be first. They want to, and not right, but they just want to get information out there. And because folks want to sit there and go, hey, ooh, that this would be a great story. He said to you, this would be great. This would be a great idea, So no, and no. And so you end up with what you ended up with in that particular thing. And so that's where it was. So just keep an eye, keep your sources. Now we get to catch up with our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring. And because he is one of the busiest men in show business, and I mean literally, he is one of the busiest men in show business. We're going to go down to, and I'm going to check in with Greg. We welcome Greg Garza in for a 20-minute sprint here on a Friday. Morning. Are you still down in central South Florida of the pretty landscapes that you shot from the inside of an airplane?
Yeah, I flew back from Clearwater 2 days ago to Atlanta, and then I flew to West Palm Beach yesterday. So I'm currently in West Palm Beach. I go back tonight, speak to the Colorado Rapids, go back tonight, and then have a full camp tomorrow with a high school. And my boys will be involved because I haven't seen them in forever.
There you go.
And then I travel Sunday morning to Dallas.
Dude.
To FC Dallas. So, yeah.
Okay.
Crazy times.
Well, and it's good crazy, but for those that may not know the full story as to why we're catching you in hotel rooms, back patios, the occasional time when you get to spend maybe a half a minute with your family, and I mean your family, and you're in their backyard with a fence behind you. Let everybody know what you're doing with Major League Soccer, and we'll use that as our inroad for conversation here this week.
Yeah. This is I tell people like it's DEI work. It's essentially DEI, but we call it something different. We call it ICA, which is intercultural awareness. Just helping the league understand, more so the players, player to player, understand how to adapt to different cultures, how to bond with the different cultures that are around them, but ultimately fighting discrimination and all the isms that kind of go around within the game, or the phobias or whatever it may be, but just fighting against discrimination and also helping a lot of players that come from abroad or, across the pond or wherever they come from, below the equator, wherever they are, to understand that there are rules and norms that they must follow, although they're in a different country. So helping people see eye to eye, and helping them also learn about, I think, their teammates, which has been the most interesting thing for me, because we all come from different backgrounds, different countries, different races, different colors, different beliefs, religions, but the ball brings us uniquely together. And at the same time, it can also create a lot of conflict. So it's helping everybody meet in the middle and understand that on the field, off the field, role modelship, and everything that goes within is extremely important for these young and older athletes to kind of pass the torch and help them understand the responsibilities.
Because you have a couple of different demographics in play here. You have the young up and coming player who in Major League Soccer these days can be 15, 16 years old. You go to Philadelphia, you look at a Kevin Sullivan, he comes in and he's a part of second team at the age of 14. He gets first team minutes. But then you have the veteran who might be on the north end of 30, and they have experienced certain things in a certain framework. And so I would imagine that for you, it is having to do 2 lanes of traffic at the same time, where you have to, and it might even be 4, where the inbound information from a younger person that you have to sit there and orientate in your head and take those lessons and have those lessons go outbound from your own perspectives and understandings. And then you have the older veteran players who might be set in their ways. They have their own bits of understanding, and then trying to bring them around so the younger players can understand where the older players are coming from and the veterans can understand where the rookies are coming from. That seems like a very delicate balance with 4 lanes worth of information.
Yeah. That's interesting. You said Philadelphia because I just spoke to them 2 days ago in Clearwater. So, you have Kevin Sullivan, who's sitting in the room, who looks like a little boy still, and then you have Alejandro Bedoya, that's like fine wine and just keeps on freaking playing, man, and doesn't give up. But it's interesting because you try and help everybody see the same page. I from what I've learned with doing all of this the past couple of years is that it's really hard to change someone. When somebody is set, you said it, when somebody is set in their ways, it's really hard to change them. But can you help them be a little bit more open-minded to their surroundings and what's around them? And I think that's the coolest part about being involved in this, is just helping them understand the differences that are around them, and not necessarily changing their ways, but also just pointing them in the right direction, and kind of almost rule following, and just understanding the norms that go around. There's interesting things that we learn within every team that we speak to. Like, you can't do thumbs up in Iran, right? That means something completely different. You can go to jail if you do that. So it's like there's different things that I think, like, you learn from these different players from different countries and different backgrounds. And I mean, there was a player on Philly that's like background was like Bangladesh, Hawaiian, Lebanese, and like some sort of Asian, man. And it was just like everybody was in the room and was like, what? And so it sparks conversation, right? It sparks the interest of his teammates to get to know him a little bit better. And I think that creates a better bond and understanding. I did my a couple of sessions ago with Larice Mabiala, who was with Portland for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
We literally finished our session, and as the whole team was walking out, he got his mat out and he started praying. And I had no idea he was Muslim, being Togo background, but it's I think. And then you had some of my we spoke to Cincinnati, and you had some of the PTs or the fitness guys walk in and be like, yo, what the hell is he doing? Like, what, yo, Larice, let's go, man, we got to go. And I'm like, guys, like, let's leave the room. Let's give him his space. And I think that's the interesting part, is just helping everybody understand that everyone is different. But there's so many things that also bring this together. And so just the value, I think we use the word a lot, is just respect. We were all here to make the world a better place, hopefully most of us. And so, I think when you are a professional soccer player, you have the platform to even more, to do so even more.
How, and I mean, and I mean this in a way of trying to understand, how difficult is it to navigate this laundry list of things where you mentioned the idea of you can't do a thumbs up in Iran because it means something one way or the other. You can't do certain things in certain countries, but here we always view ourselves as a melting pot, and this roux that is put together that creates this country that we have. How difficult a balance is it for your mentees and for those that you touch with Major League Soccer to understand other personalities, other groups, other ethnicities, and still at the same time still be themselves, if you know what I mean? Because you don't want to change your personality, you don't want to change who you are. At the same time, you want to respect others, and you don't want to turn yourself into a different person as you're trying to understand others, trying to maintain yourself, I guess, is what I'm trying to get to here.
It's a balance, right?
Yeah.
It's you have to look at the whole picture of everything, and just man, I always tell people you got to travel.
Yeah. Okay.
You got to travel. You have to, and I think that most players sitting in a locker room have probably traveled because of soccer, and they've seen the world be a different place.
Yeah.
You see different upbringings, you see different backgrounds, you see different beliefs, and I mean, even speaking to Atlanta United, you have a Japanese player who barely speaks any English, is probably scared shitless in a different country for the first time, right? And you need the veterans, and you need some other guys to hopefully step up and help him adapt and help him acclimate to his surroundings the best way possible. And just the way that I think that the Japanese are. They're so, you think of this the stereotypical mindset, or the subconscious mindset that you have, is that they are so extremely respectful. And that's something that I feel that even showed speaking with him as well. So it's you have to rely on a lot of the guys in the locker room, especially the older guys and the veterans, to really manifest and kind of help everybody understand in the room, whether it's their commitment to help the locker room be a better place, and also stand up towards any discrimination. I believe that the league does a pretty damn good job in supporting every single group that needs support within the league. And so I think that it's a cool way to be a part of it from my end, and help everybody hopefully not necessarily be on agreement with everything, because there has been some pushback with certain teams, but hopefully just meet eye to eye and see things somewhat similarly at the end of the day.
Yeah, because I think that there's context that has to be given in your conversations, and they have to understand where this other person is coming from. Because if you shut yourself off, then you don't learn, you don't grow, you don't advance your personality, you don't advance. We're talking, I guess, about our inner selves today, but you don't advance mentally, you don't advance emotionally, you don't advance as an individual into this understanding and understand where someone else is coming from. Because to your point, I mean, Togashi-san is coming to Atlanta United. Yeah, I think he had his 4 years very, very early in his life where he was in the United States, but a lot of his time in his life has been in Japan, in the Far East, and that's where he comes from. That's his knowledge base, his emotion base, his base of self. And I think that these days it's just as important to understand where someone else is coming from, in being confident with who you are, understand where someone else is confident, because one confident person plus another confident person is two confident people who understand where they're coming from. I know it's basic math, but sometimes that's a lot of math to get over and understanding context to something.
Yeah. I find it really interesting, even for myself, to just learn about different cultures whenever I speak to all the players.
What was the last culture that you learned about with your time with MLS? What's the newest lesson that you've learned? The newest culture? What was it? Was it the Togolese mashup that we were talking about just a second ago?
No, not necessarily. I think for me, it's seeing just the different backgrounds.
Mhm.
I think that's the interesting part of it. Is I think the cultural traditions that we speak about
Yeah.
with other guys are like there's so many similarities. So many similarities. If I were to ask anybody like what their favorite cultural tradition is, I mean, most likely everybody's going to say something to do with the end of the year or Christmas or Thanksgiving, or it doesn't matter what country you come from. Everybody usually focuses on the same thing. And I think that's really that's a huge one, because everybody prioritizes family.
Mhm.
And everybody prioritizes that time spent with loved ones. And I think it's cool to help players understand that they're probably spending more time with each other rather than they're spending with their immediate family. And so you have to also understand the brotherhood, but within brotherhood comes there can be some conflict.
Mhm.
But I think the most interesting thing for me is like seeing kids and other individuals or younger kids, within kind of trading places and the exercises that we do, like feel a little bit more confident within themselves. I think that's the beauty of it, is to like a lot of these young kids who might be rookies for the first time, or 14 or 15 years old, and they don't say a damn thing
Right.
to anybody.
They don't want to rock the boat. They're the new kid.
Yeah. But it's been really cool to see them kind of be more almost accepted into the group. You feel like a lot of the things that we do gives them an opportunity to, and I think I'll always think like the youth, right? Fountain of the youth, of just helping them become better leaders, not necessarily better people, but just in terms of making good decisions. And I think that's where it stems from, and that's been the coolest thing for me in terms of all of this understanding of more so of cultural awareness, but just helping the younger guys in the locker room really hold themselves accountable and kind of continue to build something that we are also trying to do.
When coming into a relationship with a mentee these days, do your mentees have an understanding coming into the time that they spend with you and Mike about different cultures, about where all the different perspectives, or do you have to teach your mentees about understanding and appreciating different cultures and perspectives, or is that known coming in more and more these days?
I have implemented all of this ICA training and this work into all of my mentees, everything that we do. It's so cool because I learn so much about my mentees, and just getting to know them on a more personal level, I think creates a better bond and relationship. Like last night, there's a girl that I've now been working with for about close to a year now, and we were just speaking about things that she was proud about last year. And I think one of the things that she had said is that she felt so much more comfortable speaking, and she's getting into clutch years of speaking to colleges. And one of the things that she was proud about herself is just becoming more comfortable and making new friends, and talking to adults, and just being in front of people, because she shied away because maybe she felt too shy and understanding their environment and the surroundings around her. But one of the main things is that I think our bond and relationship helped a lot with that. And like we've gotten to know each other, and she knows that I'm Mexican American. She's American, Colombian, and Cuban, which is an awesome mix. But it's like if we didn't know that about each other, like I'll sprinkle in some like Spanish in there every once in a while in our sessions, and I'll like, make her giggle or something like that with something that's very cultural to her, right? Because I think my benefit of playing all over the world and knowing so many people and playing with so many different teammates from all over, you grab a little piece from all of those different guys, and it allows you to build connection and relationships. And like that I think has really allowed this young woman to open up. And I think that's what I wanted to get from it, and just feel more comfortable around people, because I think of our conversations, but I think without us understanding each other's culture and having that kind of icebreaker, she probably would still be maybe extremely quiet, right? So like that's the cool thing that I think I'm able to take away from what we do in my mentees conversation, of just using some of the exercises that we do to help them kind of feel more comfortable in speaking engagement as well.
Because in those environments where your paths and your ethnicities may mix, your experience may cross over, you can use a word or a phrase, or like you said, you can use a Spanish expression that might be a little bit more impactful or more direct, something that they can understand, or more familial, that if you say it in, say, English, it might just kind of be a word that's glossed over. But if you have that little extra oomph and that little extra history behind it because of your experience, it means that much more and can impact that much more.
Exactly right. And I think it just allows like a lot of these kids that they might look at me and be like, oh, this guy just speaks, this, he's one lane traffic. But once they see that we have so many different branches within our career, and we know a lot about culture, and I'm always so interested to learn about different cultures, to see what their upbringing is like. That's the beauty of I think soccer. Someone like Ozzy Alonso, who has so much to tell and so many stories to give, and who is also Cuban, and someone who can give back to the game. And he's a new facilitator this year, and it's great to have him.
Nice.
But it's helping him also spread his story to new players coming in, to help them understand, hey, this is his story. We all get to kind of give our own little piece when we give these trainings. And I think that's the coolest thing about it, is that they give us that freedom to kind of use our own experience to speak to all these players. So I've really enjoyed it. It's been a lot of traveling, a lot of friggin' work. But it's been awesome to be a part of, and however long they need me, I would love to be a part of something like this.
Okay, I cannot let you go before we discuss your photo shoot, where you got to model some things, and it was you and Maddie and Sophia.
Yes,
The 247 connection, which I thought was hilarious. It's like
I loved it.
and it's like, wait a second, and I didn't know if that was intentional or not.
They didn't even mean it, and then they were like, 247. I was like, guys, SDH 24/7, and they were like, oh yeah. I was like, oh my goodness.
I mean,
I was like, these youngsters, oh my goodness, what a great idea. SDH 24/7. I was like, that better be the friggin' caption of what you guys post.
oh my God. I mean, and I'm going to tell them that it has to be the friggin' caption, not just the
Yeah.
caption, but the friggin' caption. But yeah, you got to model the jersey. What'd you think of the SDH
I loved it. I loved it.
PTM jersey?
And such good people to be around. All you guys are amazing people. Everybody who's involved with SDH. So you guys just keep bringing in younger and younger people. So watch out.
Yeah, no, you ain't kidding, brother.
Yeah, we're getting old, but no, just fantastic to be around, and getting to know them a little bit better. It's the first time I met both of them in person, but yeah, awesome young women who are also changing the game and providing different opportunities in that sense. And equality and opportunity is massive. So I'm glad that there's so many women out there that are pushing for great leadership roles and hustling, because that's what it's all about.
They are kicking ass, and they're kicking our asses on a daily basis. Fashion model for SDH, Greg Garza, modeling our Olive and York Kaiser Permanente Beyond Goals first ever SDH jersey. What's going on with Beyond Goals when you come back into this part of the planet?
Same old, same old. The beauty about being away is that I still get to hop on sessions. I literally have one that starts right now. So,
Well,
yeah.
Stop.
I'll see you guys later, man. Take care, and thanks for having me.
As always, go to your session. There goes Greg.
You
He's going to hang up with us, and he's going to go and be a session for other folks. So, Greg Garza, fashion model for SDH, and you can go on our Instagram and you can see the man as a fashion model. And yeah, literally, you go on to our Instagram. Seriously, you go on our Instagram and you see Greg, and it was a great shoot at our friends at Chattahoochee Coffee. So they go and they picked a really cool. I think they had to like reschedule us a couple times, but anyway, they go for the shoot right on the Chattahoochee River. Then you go on our Instagram, and literally one of the pictures is the one where you do the blue steel. You turn and you lean into the camera. The three of them did blue steel, and they turn in, and literally it's 2, 4, and 7. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And now we have the rest of the story from our friend Greg. But we have the line here. We have it, that it in fact was something that they didn't know about.
Now you know.
Thank you, Paul Harvey. Good day. But they didn't know 247. I instantly gravitated to that. I literally instantly gravitated to the 24/7 part. I'm like, oh my God, that's fantastic. But apparently they're youngins and they didn't quite understand the whole idea of 247. Okay. No, well, once again, generational disconnects and things like that. So there you go. Okay. That is our number one. Thanks to Scott Wells and thanks to Greg Garza. And thanks to all of you guys for hour number one. Hour number two is the free for all, where we talk about everything. We catch you up on some stuff. We got some CONCACAF to talk about. We got news of the AM to talk about. We got some stupidity down here to finish up hour number two. And then if we have to go into bonus time because it's an FA Cup weekend, we got juice boxes and stories and all the other things and whatever else is on your mind. Atlanta United has New England scheduled tomorrow. Tom was so busy that it completely slipped his mind when they played behind closed doors. Our friends over at SNS found out that Orlando posted themselves that they scored one. Our friends at SNS filled out the dossier and found out that it was a 1-1 match. So that's what we know. So New England is this weekend, and then you end up with there's the other match that is beginning in the week that they added. Hang on just a second. I'm losing my mind. Of course, I never had my mind. So there we go. So schedule, clicking, waiting, preseason. Okay, so here we go. Preseason schedule. Clicking on it, and I always forget who the opponent is, and that's why I'm having to reference this. Saturday, January, IMG. Okay, so it's the Revs on the 8th, closed door in Bradenton. And then on Wednesday, it's another closed door against Cincinnati. That was the added one on the 12th. And then it's the match behind closed doors back up here in Atlanta against FC Dallas on the 15th. So it's the Revs behind closed doors in Bradenton tomorrow. Let me know what's on your mind, other than the apparent doubles teams that are probably broken up after the foot tennis tournament that was had yesterday down in Bradenton. So we might have some breakups from the doubles team. And Revs are tomorrow. Wednesday the 12th is FC Cincinnati. They fly back. Then Saturday the 15th, it's FC Dallas at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Training Ground. And then on the 22nd, season opener, CF Montreal. We'll see what the Four Horsemen can do in their matchup against CF Montreal as CF Montreal comes to town, probably just looking for a point. But Yeah, I'm looking at the four horsemen as the offense that we have here with Miggy, Saba, Latte Lat, and AM59. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the four horsemen. Four horsemen of the apocalypse, the four horsemen. I would break out my old school sweatshirt that I wore earlier in the week, but it's behind the boss's fat head. And I mean the boss's fat head, not the boss's fat head. See, the boss has a fat head for those of you that haven't been here. So, all right. All right, let's catch up with everybody and say hi to everybody. Morning, Will. Morning, Abby. There we go. If you already have chant, once you become a member, you can just add it to your account. Newsletter did come out at 8:59 this morning. And morning, Tom. Let's see. Abby has decided, and I'm kind of right there with Abby, by the way. All companies decide what their own Navy color is. For some, Navy, for one company may be darker than another company's Navy. But like I said, I'm into shades, lighter navy, darker navy, those kinds of things. It is a navy. It's a darker navy jersey. I will take Abby's word for it and her classification. A darker navy than normal SDH jersey. But apparently Navy's just navy. It's a darker shade of navy. But if navy's navy, then it's a darker navy. And so Abby's right. And so Ricky's discussing the Auburn Navy. Morning, Alex. Morning, Sharif. Sharif, I hope the link to the Asheville City website helps. Because like I said, go help out Western North Carolina if you can. Still do it. And as Scott said, it's going to take 2 or 3 years before everything shakes back out. Go if Asheville is your thing, or Western North Carolina is your thing, go and give back as best we can and help them out because it's going to be a while. And then from there, if you're there during soccer season, go catch a lower league game. I'm the kind of guy that literally, if I went to Paris, I would try and go find a Ligue 2 match or something like Paris FC or something like that, or a women's game. Stupidity down here, part of it has to do with on-air people and stupidity about the women's. Their stupid comments about the women's game. I thought about it. Like I said, we'll do stupidity down here toward the end of hour number 2. But anyway, help out where you can, help out when you can. And if you like going up to Asheville or Western North Carolina, then go and help out. Absolutely go and help out. And where is I'm trying to find, North. Okay, there we go. All right, so North Central America. So it is a tab that was saved. Okay, so results. We'll get into this to start things off. Okay, hour number 2. Let me keep saying hi to everybody. Tom, I hope the update was sufficient with what happened. Morning, Harry. Abby with the weather reference. 59 in Marietta. West Palm, it's already 74. Yeah, enjoy the 90% humidity. Not a fan. And I know that you guys are also sorting out the new flags and everything with Abby. And I think Abby says she has all of them. And she's even covering a couple of twos players and possibly some other folks down the line. So very, very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah, really, Ricky. Yeah, Paris FC might not be that way because of the money. Still waiting what flag each player wants. So we need to tell the players, hey, what flag do you want? We'll keep working that way. Let's see. All right. Posting links and things like that. Yeah, the video from yesterday that was posted by Social about the foot tennis. Miggy looked insanely fast, and they didn't even speed up the video. That was normal speed. Absolutely normal speed. And Ricky, I can't believe actual soccer outlets fell. Well, and for a fake academy game. But think about it. Think about it these days. It's all about getting the story, getting clicks, getting exposure, getting noticed, those kinds of things for folks that want to do that. So in those ideas, you end up with somebody wants to be first, somebody who wants to be noticed, somebody that wants to get clicks, somebody that wants to do all those things. And so you end up with instances like we had with the story about Messi and Messi's youngins. So there we go. Okay, so Abby has done the Lord's work and has found Greg Garza fashion model. And for Greg, I mean, Greg looks badass. Absolutely badass in the Olive in York. And it is photos by with 2 Y's, Sophia on Insta. And that's the link that was posted. So Maddie modeling, Sophia modeling, Greg looking badass, wondering why his photo's being taken, Maddie looking badass. And then 247, literally 247 is staring at them right there. It's 24/7. 247, it's right there. But anyway, photos by BYY Sophia, SOFIA. That's Sophia's Instagram account, and that's where Abby pulled it. But yeah, awesome stuff from our friends from Olive in York. Thanks to Greg for putting up with it. Oh my God, it looks gorgeous. Emilio, yeah, the 4 horsemen equals small. It does. It does, but you want big. You want big. So the 4 horsemen. The 4 horsemen. And then what you do is you get them to come in and you have them dressed in black, maybe come in on horseback or something. Or just, look like the Grim Reaper, have four Grim Reaper outfits on top of horses with the sides and everything. I have my own reference. I'm trying to mainstream it for everybody else. But if you do this, 4 horsemen, sign of excellence. 4 horsemen, people. Absolutely true. The 4 horsemen. Okay. CONCACAF. Let's get into that. So we'll start hour number 2 with what happened late last night. Jason mentioned it in the espresso, but yesterday in CONCACAF, in day number 2, you had, these were the juice boxes going in. The 8 o'clock game, Cibao and Chivas. Cibao to win was north of plus 1,300. Chivas on the road at minus 526. And for those that may not know, Cibao FC, just for location's sake, it is in Santiago de los Caballeros, Dominican Republic. This was a 2,200-mile plane ride for Chivas to get to Cibao, the Estadio Cibao. 2,200-mile trek. Cibao scored, and they were hanging on. I mean, they were hanging on. Then a goal at literally 90 plus 9. There were 9 minutes added. And after the match, and this is something to keep an eye on for the return leg, Chivas scored at 90 plus 9. There were 9 minutes added, literally at like 99:08. Chivas scores the equalizer to take an even money, to take an even match to leg 2. Cibao and a lot of Cibao players and personnel crowded the officiating crew. Some reds were dashed out, and it was almost blackjack by the center ref. So keep an eye on who got the red cards for Cibao going into the second leg. Cibao survived 90 minutes, survived 98 minutes of activity, leading Chivas. Chivas scored an equalizer, 1-1 back to Chivas in the reverse 2,200 miles. Match number 2. Cavalry and Pumas started at 10:04, like I said, because of what was happening with the late game or the early game, finishing past 10 o'clock Eastern time. And you had a piece of history you had a piece of history last night in CONCACAF. And it happened not quite 90 plus 9, but you had a moment for Canadian soccer. And it was a big moment for Canadian soccer. You had this moment from Tobias Warshevsky when they were tied at 1 with about 10 minutes to go in Langford, BC, in the opening leg of the first round series. This is courtesy of our friends at FS2 and CONCACAF with some sound from Warshevsky after the match, not after the goal in the 80th minute, but this is what happened in the 80th, plus sound from Warshevsky from what happened last night.
He will eventually get this ball. He has choices, hooks this ball around. Herdman heads it back through the middle. Warshevsky finishes right on the doorstep. It's a magical touch.
Yeah, I think the whole team did it today. I'll be honest. I'm just happy for the guys. I think, like, when you concede just before halftime a goal like that, I think everybody was a little bit head down into the locker room, but we showed character today in the second half, and I think we deserve the win today.
It's a special goal from you to win it as well. Can you walk us through that?
Oh yeah, I don't know really what happened. Sometimes I just black out and I don't know, I just touched it, finished it. I don't know how to really explain it.
You've obviously now got to go down to Mexico City and try to finish the job. How much confidence will this build tonight?
I think a lot. Like, we had confidence in this group. Like, a lot of players came back. Like, the whole squad is back, and I think a lot of guys doubted us a little bit. Like, no new players and this and that. But we try to get them wrong, you know, and have just fun on.
Tomas Warshevsky, as I blow my ears out, as I'm still trying to figure out volumes and things. So Warshevsky scores with 10 minutes to go in a game of games for Cavalry. So Cavalry beats Pumas, opening leg of their Triple C series. Victory came in their first competitive match since winning the CPL championship back on November the 9th. So Warshevsky led the CPL in scoring last year, 14 goals. There was a long video review for offside before it was confirmed by the Guatemalan crew and center ref Mario Escobar. And so then they talked to Warshevsky after the match. Charlie Trafford's 57th minute goal had evened things up as Santiago Lopez scored for Pumas in the 44th, just before the half. So goal in the 44th made it 1-0. 57th minute equalizer, 80th minute Warshevsky scores, and it is 2-1 Cavalry. So first ever CPL win over a Liga MX side. Trafford's goal was a first ever against the Liga MX competition. The 19-year-old Lopez scored for the team in the first half. So the return leg is in 6 days. It was a week from when it was played. So return leg is on the 13th at the Estadio Olímpico Universitario. Winner goes on to take on Ottawalense in the round of 16. So dual citizen Lopez was a star for Canada in the U20s, played for Mexicans U18s in 2 tournaments in 23, yet to declare his international status. So it was a big win for Cavalry. So Forge losing to Monterrey on Wednesday. Winner of that series gets either Whitecaps or Saprissa in the round of 16. So big win last night for Cavalry, big win for the CPL. And Liga MX had teams that were rolling, pretty much scoring 2 goals at a clip in the tournament. But, however, you get this moment last night in Langford, BC, where Cavalry beats Pumas in the late game, and so that's where we are with those particular matchups. So Cruz Azul won 2-0. Monterrey beat Forge 2-0. Real Esteli had the upset to date because Real Esteli was at a plus 291 when they beat Tigres 1-0, scored and hung on. Cavalry was a slightly larger underdog at home at a plus 332 in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal. So Cavalry, by number, got the biggest win, even though Cibao had the largest margin with the draw at a plus 526. So that's where CONCACAF is after the first 2.5, 3 match days, whatever you wish to, whatever you want to call it. So that's where we are with CONCACAF and what happened late last night. So looking at some other things that are going on in and around Ruben Amorim, and obviously let me know what's on your mind this morning as well as we go. So like I said, Atlanta's playing New England this weekend behind closed doors, and we'll see what's up there. Canada beat Mexico. Canada beat Mexico. So it was a large evening. And Alex Yeah, no, I know, Amelia, that your small was an acronym, but I know that. But you want the acronym to be you want the acronym to be big acronym. I figured I was trying to do the math in my head. Is like Latte Latte is the the LL, Almiron is the A. Then you've got Saba, and you did the Miranchuk and all of that stuff. So no, it's I was piecing it together, but I want big acronym, like big. And do you want your leading scores to be known as small? Like, that's why I'm going with the Four Horsemen right now with the Four Horsemen. Yes, Canada beat Mexico. CPL beat Liga MX. And the U.S., I think, beat Canada in the women's international tournament as well last night in hockey. So it was, slam. Yeah, and so there's going to be a lot of Onyx. A lot of Onyx. Tom has gone with slam. Make noise, be boys. Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to have to get that drop. And so Emilio's on the path. We're looking for acronyms. So slam seems to be up there. And now if we'll try and encourage our friends at Mercedes-Benz perhaps to play Make Noise Be Boys Slam from Onyx. I know that I also have to get the click click boom drop. I've got to add that to the mix. But yeah, I spent like an hour and a half, 2 hours trying to grab all the old drops and edit them and put them into the new system here. But the one thing I've got to figure out is that the volume starts out low. I need to have the preset volume be high, because that's what you always hear, is it me turning the volume up in the console and then on the audio board. So it's like 1 and 1 instead of it being just one thing. I have to do two separate things, and that's why it starts out low and gets louder, because I'm still doing things. A couple of things that were overseas. Ruben Amorim is not afraid about losing his gig, and he also mentioned that Marcus Rashford. By the way, Marcus Rashford had to go. He wasn't getting it. He was not quite understanding what was going on. Basically, it's almost like the Chris Rock line in the movie. I think it was what was the one with Jackie Chan? That series. Anyway, but what you've got is Ruben Amorim, according to James Ducker at the Telegraph. He failed to connect with Marcus Rashford and is thankful he left Manchester United. So Ducker gets this on Manchester. Remember, this is an FA Cup weekend. We'll do juice boxes coming up in a bit. Ruben Amorim said he could not get through to Marcus Rashford and that they failed to connect, but admitted he had taken a significant risk by not replacing the striker in the transfer window. The United head coach said he was thankful Rashford was now on loan at Aston Villa with Unai Emery, and that questions about the unsettled England striker could be directed at another manager after weeks of uncertainty of the player's future. So basically, you want to ask me any more questions about Marcus Rashford, he ain't here. Go ask Unai. That's where we are. Rashford never played for Amorim again after being dropped for the Manchester Derby in mid-December. Amorim questioned his attitude and performances in training. Amorim, quote, "What I say is I couldn't put Marcus to see the way you're supposed to play football and train the way that I see it. And sometimes you have one player who's really good with one coach, and the same player with another coach is different. I just wish the best to Rashford and Unai Emery, and they can connect because he's a very good player. Thankfully about Marcus, he's in Birmingham now with Unai. So you can take these questions to another coach. We're just focused on our players." The case was some of the guys that don't adapt the way I see football. The other guys adapt, and we're trying to build the team, end quote. Asked if Rashford effectively said he did not agree with his ideas and approach, Amorim said, quote, "It's not the way that occurs. Something that you feel as a coach and a player. It's quite normal. Happened with a lot of coaches. The important thing is that I'm here saying it was my decision." And Ty and Anthony, Tyrell Malacia, and it was my decision to do these loans and keep some players even without any transfers. I'm just here saying it was my decision. Amorim admits he's taken a gamble, could backfire by not replacing Rashford and Anthony. Anthony's got a Real Betis on loan. He's going to hang out with Cucho now. At a time when the team has lost 7 of his first 13 Premier League matches in charge, currently languishing in 13th, as Ducker's words. -6 goal difference. backed away from a loan deal for Matisse Tell, who went to Spurs. They balked at the £5 million demand. The £5 million demand, they balked at that. Is that where Manchester United is right now? That they're balking at £5 million on a loan deal for Matisse Tell, when in fact he goes to Spurs, and I think it's a loan with an option to buy, but it's like $65 million. Spurs is like, yeah, shoot, we'll do it. Manchester United balked at a £5 million loan. Loan. $5 million, loan. We are taking some risks, but it is the way we want to proceed. They have Friday Night Football, by the way. They're taking on Leicester. Hard to sleep, but my idea is clear. Amorim claimed he and his players were fighting for our jobs in the second half of the season. Felt the full backing of Old Trafford, had no concerns about losing his job. It's a little bit harder for me to cope with that, meaning the results, than the board, because the board already know. I explained all the risk. Everything's happened. I explained to the board. They said the same thing. We need to start now. Amorim said it's really hard just the way we're sometimes losing. I understand we had a lot of games without training, but even then in that context, I feel we should do better. It's hard to sleep, whatever. One good thing I learned in this moment is that even the good or bad moments, my idea is so clear that I make the same decisions without any other concerns. So Ruben Amorim, not sleeping well. And he knows he's auditioning, I guess. So Amorim knows he's up against the clock. Not sleeping well. But apparently he and Marcus Rashford just didn't connect. Coach is like, okay, I need you to do this, 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 and this. And Marcus Rashford apparently wasn't getting it to the level that Ruben Amorim was looking at. So that's out there for Manchester United. And apparently there is now a £62.5 million release clause for Mateus Cunha. He has signed that deal. And so that is now in play. Now, a lot of folks are saying, and I would agree to this, 4.5-year contract signed on February 1st. £62.5 million release clause, guaranteed to make him a club record sale when he leaves. Best paid player, reward for his performance. Verbally had agreed to the new deal last month. Arsenal and Villa were knocking on the doors. Wolves shut the deal. Current record sales, £54 million after add-ons for Pedro Neto, who went back to Chelsea last year. A lot of folks are saying that it's 4 for 3 spots when it comes to the relegation fight. Wolves is in that group. Makes you wonder if, because Southampton's out the door. And so it's going to come down to some combination of 3 for 2. It's going to be Ipswich, Leicester, Wolves for the 2 remaining spots. That's just how it is. Our resident Evertonian fans, they're happy David Moyes has 3 on the spin. They've kind of positioned themselves away from it. So it is a big deal for Wolves to sign. They spent a lot of money. I can't wait to see their financial fair play and what their losses are going to be, especially since they invested and signed Mateus Cunha. I'm looking forward to seeing what Wolves do. But they spent a lot of money, and they might end up spending a lot of money just to get relegated. Do you remember, earlier this week, we talked about Chelsea. And so if there are Chelsea fans out there whose ears are burning, I apologize. Earlier this week, we talked about a story out there where Todd Bowley, co-owner, manager of Vivid Seats, he's a director, technically. The idea of being able to purchase Chelsea tickets at Stamford Bridge here in the States, and if you did an IP address inside the UK, you couldn't do it. You couldn't purchase it. You couldn't purchase anything off of Vivid. Go to vividseats.com if you had a UK IP address when you were logging in. So what we did is we decided, meaning I decided, to see if we could, in fact, buy Chelsea tickets here in Office HD, and we still can. For those of you that missed the story, we'll recap it here in a bit. But what we did the first time, a couple days ago, has not changed. I mean, I do not necessarily anticipate a billion-dollar industry to sit there and change things on a whim unless you're going to shut down a website or block out a lot of other IPs. But you can still, if you are interested, just to go see a game at Stamford Bridge right now on the secondary ticket market, as an example, if you wanted to go see, as Tom says, the lousy Reds, game Saturday, May 3rd, Stamford Bridge, London. Get-in price, $736. That's your get-in. And I'm going through Vivid Seats. I'm literally staring at it right now. You go Vivid Seats, you go Chelsea, takes you to the full Chelsea grid. There's like 16 matches that are currently in their grid. They've got all of the Premier League matches that are attached. You can get, like we were talking about earlier in the week, you can get suite tickets. You can get hospitality starting at about $1,650, VIP packages north of $2,100. Then you can start getting into the bars and the sports lounges and things like that. And I'm trying to scroll all the way down to the bottom, which is the most expensive. Longside lower tier central, $7,073. You can either do that or go into the Canaville suite for $7,073. Right now, if you wanted to spend that kind of money, not go to New Orleans, you could go to Stamford Bridge, sit in a suite, drop $15,000. You got 2 tickets to the Liverpool match right now. You can do that on Vivid Seats. I'm staring at it. I'm not going to hit the purchase button, but it says Chelsea tickets are selling out fast. Don't miss out. Less than 300 fans right now are shopping for Chelsea tickets. Literally, I just got a pop-up window, and it's telling me to find tickets. So I can do that right now. With a US IP address, I can get Chelsea tickets from the secondary market that Todd Boehly owns. Chelsea fans are pretty pissed. Understandably so. They have now accused Boehly of a breach of trust over everything dealing with Vivid. Members of the Chelsea Supporters Trust suggested Boehly's connection could also be a conflict of interest. No, comma, really, ... question mark. Chelsea Supporters Trust released the results of a survey regarding touting and the resale of tickets on third-party websites after the first article that we talked about. Literally $7,000 US. Vivid Seats, for those that might not have heard this the first time, from my buddy Ben Rumsby over at the Telegraph. Vivid Seats, which Todd Boehly owns and is a director, co-owner and a director. Rumsby lists him as a director only. So we'll use director for the sake of moving to the next sentence. Vivid is on the Premier League's list of unauthorized ticketing websites. But here in the United States, as evidenced by my own traveling fingers, I can get into the Liverpool match for $736 if I wanted to. I can get into a suite for $7,000 if I wanted to right now. I'd blow up my credit card if I did that. I have no interest in doing it, but I can do it if I want. Although it does not allow fans in Britain to either buy or sell tickets, a practice which would be illegal according to Rumsby's piece, it does permit foreign-based users to tout them. Charges a 10% commission and a service fee reported to run from 20 to 40% of the original price, raising the prospect of Boehly profiting from activity of his own club, and his own club said that we denounce this. Chelsea on their website had a big thing, a couple of paragraphs long. It was a 5-paragraph essay tearing the idea apart. Don't do this. But hey, if you go to Vivid Seats, which our owner's a director, and you got friends in the U.S., they can buy tickets. CST is thinking that it was a breach of trust and could be a conflict of interest. And so the CST found that only 17% of supporters had confidence in Chelsea to combat touting. Fewer than 10% believed enough was being done to confront it. Along those same lines, Manchester City fans have now accused the club of pricing them out with a loyalty tax that was placed on it by Chairman Khaldoon al-Mubarak. 7 fan organizations sent a letter outlining fears of being priced out of attending games at the Etihad because of the current season ticket pricing model. City insists that their ticket prices are competitive, reflect match day revenue, promise to listen to the views of the fans amid their concerns heading into the 25-6 season. Club has made a profit, and according to the letter that was sent, club has made a profit in excess of £70 million in the last 2 years. In this instance, we believe that you can have your cake and eat it. Ever-increasing revenue from loyal supporters. FlexiGold has an annual fee, a FlexiGold scheme, and the scheme is meaning like a ticket plan in, like we were talking with Greg about doing certain things and using certain words. Scheme in England is just like a plan. It's a plan of action. So scheme here is bad, scheme there is not. FlexiGold scheme in which fans can buy the same seat 3 weeks before each home game or choose not to. FlexiGold has an annual fee of £150, which fans have asked to be removed. City was second in Deloitte's Football Money League. Matchday revenue that year was £88 million compared to Manchester United, who brought in almost twice that at £152, Real Madrid at £248. So, David with the question that we will try and find an answer to. Todd Boehly and Vivid Seats. So we're going to do a search. Let's just see if I could spell Vivid. When Todd Boehly started. Boehly has served as a member of the board of directors at Vivid Seats since 2021. Co-founded, all right, so, and literally, this is the bio at Vivid Seats. Board of directors, Todd Boehly, director. Served as a member of the board of directors since 2021. Boehly co-founded and serves as chairman of CEO of Eldridge Industries, employs more than 3,000 people, investments in over 100 operating businesses. So he has been a member of the board of directors since 2021. I believe that to be before Boehly Clearlake bought Chelsea. I believe that to be the case. So David says, was he part of Vivid before buying the team? Apparently so. 2021 board of directors. Seems to be an EPL mess up. I mean, in their due diligence, when you've got 100 companies and things like that, Boehly Clearlake. So, what's this line item here? Vivid? We just do stuff in the States. I don't know what that conversation was like, or even if it came up. In the due diligence portion of Boehly Clearlake purchasing Chelsea, I don't know what their due diligence was, meaning the EPL. I don't know what the EPL was doing or the Premier League was doing in their vetting process. In this line item that might have been there, don't know if they saw it. Don't know if they just sat there and was like, okay, yeah. No one. Here would be my guess. Here would be my guess. And like I said, this is just extrapolation and taking logic to a point. Boehly was board of directors at Vivid Seats since 21. Boehly Clearlake has not owned Chelsea beyond 2021, earlier than 2021. My guess is in the vetting process. Like I said, and this is just me trying to walk this forward. So we'll walk through this. In the vetting process of Boehly Clearlake, I would imagine that this probably came up. I will give, if we give if we give the EPL the benefit of the doubt in the vetting process, and we go by what Rumsby has reported in the past, that no UK IP address can get tickets through Vivid. That is probably the tack that was taken if this came up. Well, no one here in England can access Vivid seats. Okay, fine. Then you're not reselling them in England or in the English marketplace. What the EPL may not have accounted for is the worldwide success of the product. Because God knows that anybody here in the States that is interested in going someplace will spend money to do it. You want tickets to go to the Masters? There are folks that are looking on eBay in the secondary market hoping they don't get found out by the golf club in East Georgia. If there is an event, someone will try and find a way, whether independently their own selves or through a ticket broker / agent / secondary ticket market, to go to something. And right now, just because you don't have a UK IP address doesn't mean that you can't get Chelsea tickets. My guess is the EPL sat there and said, okay, no one in England can access it. That's fine. Like I said, I'm walking through this. That's my thought pattern here. In the vetting process, hey, what's Vivid? We know what Vivid Seats is. What are you doing with it? Well, nothing here in England because you can't access it. Okay, fine. That's my guess. The vetting process, you've got a UK IP address, you can't access Vivid Seats. However, you can go on Vivid Seats and get Chelsea tickets if you're an American IP address. Alongside lower tier Central, 1 to 2 tickets, $4,244 each. Staring at it right now. So my guess is that it was brought up. They just thought about the England aspect of it, the UK aspect of it, and they were cool with it. That's my guess. Hey, we didn't know demand was going to be so big outside of the UK. That to me would be the plausible deniability aspect of it. But if you are Todd Boehly, you are probably going to have to do something like you did trying to line item the hotel that you tried to contribute to your bottom line, that you sold to a consortium that was of people of your company that you renamed and positioned them off to the side. Look for some legal business type wrangling when it comes to Vivid and Boehly as this continues to go. So right now, and like I said, we haven't heard anything from the Premier League. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, let's see if we can, just as an example. All right, so I'm going back in. Let me see. So, let's see if we can. Let's see if, say, the championship. Okay, so there are no Leeds United specific things. I mean, like I said, I'm just walking through this as we're going here. Nothing in the EFL Championship. So, nothing in the lower divisions. You can get Premier League darts. English Premier League tickets. If you do English Premier League tickets on Vivid, Villa, literally, after the FA this weekend, Manchester City and Newcastle. Alex, if you want to go to the Etihad and go see Manchester City and Newcastle, you would just want to fly. It's like, you know what? I'm out. Right now on Vivid, you can get Manchester City, Newcastle tickets next Saturday. Get in price $190. Short side, upper, there's like 62 tickets left on the secondary market to go see Manchester City and Newcastle. But right now on Vivid, you can get Manchester City Newcastle tickets. Chelsea Trust is pissed. City fans are concerned about ticket prices. So that's where we are right now with Todd Boehly. Breach of trust in unauthorized resale of tickets. So that's where we are with Todd Boehly coming in this weekend. Vivid on the list of unauthorized ticketing websites. However, Manchester City, Newcastle next Saturday. Get-in price, $190 on Vivid right now. No official response, but I would anticipate some legal business type wrangling from Boehly and Vivid. But there's a lot of money in play. There's a lot of money in play. But I would imagine that Boehly would do something like they did, like we were talking about with the hotel, trying to divest itself of the hotel, give it to a separate ownership group, attribute it to that ownership group. It just happens to have the same board of directors as some friends that are already there with the Chelsea thing. So keep an eye on it. Ducker and Rumsby and everybody else. Right now, it's only one writer per storyline when it comes to the alleged ticket fiasco. So that's where we are involving tickets down here, and Todd Boehly and Chelsea fans being mad. I mean, I understand it completely. Vivid Seats is on a list of a list of no-no, but apparently still is. They're still selling tickets. So what is going to happen with the Premier League and the no-no? I have no idea. But we'll keep an eye on that as we go. Okay. Let's see. So going through some of the other stories here, like I said, we do have stupidity down here. And I waffled about it, about playing the actual audio. But I think it's important when it comes to the context of literally this week. And I will recommend for you. You know that when Maddie comes on sometimes, she will reference her friend Sonia Ivashenko. You'll see Sonia on the sidelines for Atlanta United. And Sonia has done a really cool documentary, and it's on YouTube. And so what I'll do is I'll post the link, and it's volume 2 of the same series, and it has to do with women in sports. So I'll post the link, and she does a lot of video, and it is Make Your Mark Part 2. It's a women in sports mini doc. And she got the chance to do it as a part of it. She had Maddie on camera and she had Sophia on camera. And by her own admission, Sophia, is not the most comfortable doing on-camera stuff, but she's done stuff before. She does stuff with us. She does stuff with Maddie. They do their recaps. They do their talks, and it's on social and things. But this is more of a sit-down environment to discuss things about women in sports. And so what Sonia's done is do part 2 of Make Your Mark, and I posted the link in the Twitch pitch. It's about 11 and a half minutes, but Sonia and Maddie are a part of it. Maddie dropped an S-bomb, but I mean, it's worth your time. It's worth your time, especially with what is going on this week, where National Girls and Women in Sports Day, frankly, should be just Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. But to continue to tackle what we have to address sometimes and to remind folks about what we have to chase after, then you end up with conversations like the ones that Sonia was able to bring out in part 2 of Make Your Mark. So it's about 11 and a half minutes. Like I said, it's worth your time. It's really cool. She did great work. In other words, it's Friday. So Sonia, incredibly talented. Keep an eye on her stuff. So in light of that, this is where I will bring in stupidity down here. And I'll also remind you about stuff this weekend that Maddie wanted me to remind you about on Super Bowl Sunday from 4 to 6 with Inter Atlanta. We'll talk about that in a bit too. So we had another round of stupidity down here. And I know that Sports Talk Radio is supposed to do Sports Talk Radio things. And they're supposed to draw a rise out of you. They're supposed to make you have an opinion and all this stuff. I don't know how many of you have Sirius XM, but there are times when Sirius XM FC is not doing United States-based programming or live games, and you'll hear Talk Sport. You'll hear Talk Sport like in late night, overnight for Sirius XM FC. You'll hear Talk Sport do their morning shows and things like this. So Tom Morgan over at the Telegraph let us know about this particular on-air exchange that happened on Talk Sports programming. Context before I play it. One of the Talk Sport hosts is Alan Brazil. He does their morning drive. Alan Brazil's done their morning drive forever. And he was dismissive over Siobhan Ahern as she was talking about a behind-the-scenes Project 150 INEOS initiative to deliver success for both the men's and women's teams at Manchester United. And so this is one of those on-air discussions, you're having banter back and forth. So Alan Brazil, and so the older voice you will hear is Alan Brazil. The female voice you will hear is Siobhan Ahern. The Project 150 INEOS initiative is supposed to, the idea is to bring success to both the men's and women's teams at Manchester United. Old Trafford Project, it's Mission 21, which is what they want to do to bring a Premier League title back in Mission 1, which is an ambition to win a first Women's Super League. So Ahern is having this discussion about what's going on in and around the Manchester United women's team. And you had one of those sports talk moments that really does classify as stupidity down here. So I'm going to play it. It's about 2 minutes long. And like I said, it's part of a longer discussion, but it's worth listening to remind us how far we've come and how far we need to go when it comes to things that we see on a daily basis. So you're going to hear Alan Brazil and you're going to hear Siobhan Ahern from Talk Sport about what's going on with Manchester United's women's team.
Missions includes another mission for the women's team. It's called Mission 1, the plan to get the women to the first title of the WSL. And then both missions come under this broader Project 150, which aims to get the club back to the win in the Premier League for its 150th anniversary by 2028.
Greatest respect. When you talk about Manchester United, look, the women's football now is getting more important, but when you talk about Man United, it's only the men's, the Premier League, that we're talking about here with Mission Impossible. It's not the women's.
Well, actually, it is part of the plan. Well, it's called Project 150.
Well, I'm sorry, people around the world are not bothered.
That's not true.
It is true.
Well, I'm bothered, and I'm sitting here and telling you that I'm bothered. So don't say people around the world aren't bothered.
Yeah, they're not. They're not.
They
In
are.
the bigger picture, they're not. Okay, they're not.
But what the bigger picture? What, the men who only care about football being the men's game?
No, the bigger picture is men who want to see, Man United fans want to see Manchester United in the Premier League challenging.
Right. So I want to see
the bigger picture.
I want to see that too, but I would also quite like to see the women be supported.
Good.
To get the chance.
But it's not.
But you've just said that people don't care. People do care.
It's not important compared to the bigger picture.
No, the bigger picture is having a future and then being valued.
It's not. I'm not going to sit here and lie. It's not. Right?
Well,
it's not.
It is if they've clearly got. Oh, stop being like that. Honestly,
I'm telling you the truth. It's not.
You sound like a proper dinosaur. That is obviously your spirit animal with the way you sound on this morning.
Yeah, well, Siobhan.
I don't know why you're speaking like that.
You're kidding yourself on.
I'm not kidding myself on. Alan, stop. Like, listen to yourself. There is a project.
I don't have to listen to myself. You're kidding yourself on.
But I would say,
That's unbelievable from you.
It's not.
Guys, you're the one with a granddaughter playing football.
Yes.
Listen to your language right now. That's important.
I watch her as well, okay?
Oh, so but it's not important in the long term?
Not what we're talking about here, Mission Impossible 21 years.
Unbelievable.
It's about Manchester United getting back, taking on Liverpool, City, etc.
And I've said that, but then don't disregard the wider picture of involving the women.
Siobhan, you're getting carried away again. Thanks to our friends at Talk Sport. Yeah, Alan Brazil labeled a proper dinosaur, as he should have been. To be that closed-minded is, in fact, being a dinosaur. If Alan Brazil were to ever come over to the States, first thing I would do is I would make sure that I take him to a market that has professional women's soccer in it. Shoot, flies in here. We could send him to the college game at Columbus State. We could send him to Oglethorpe. We could send him to Georgia State. We could send him to Georgia Impact. We could send him to USL Super League. We could send him to USLW. We could send him down to Tormenta, who've won titles. I debated for a long time playing that audio this morning, because within the context of what was said, how much of it is sports talk banner? How much of it does Alan Brazil actually believe? And is he a proper dinosaur? And I give Siobhan Ahern a lot of credit for saying that his dinosaur was a spirit animal. But it's discussions like that. First and foremost, how Alan was talking down to Siobhan Ahern. That's unacceptable. That's what I was, seriously. When you, I don't know how much of this is a work. I don't know how much of this Alan Brazil actually believes. But when you have folks like this in positions of influence and doesn't quite understand, of course, someone would have to probably, have him, he would work really well in the Liberty Mutual ads. Brazil brings the Bibberty to Liberty Bibberty with his head in the sand or in the dirt. But like I said, I don't know how much of it's a work. I don't know how much of it he actually believes. But when you're in a position of influence, power, reporting, whatever you want to do, however you want to call it, I'm glad Siobhan Ahern went after him, because he truly does not understand the character of Alan Brazil, for lack of a better word. Because like I said, I don't know how much of it's a work. I don't know how much of it he actually believes. And the only thing that was missing from Alan Brazil was a bless your heart moment, because that was close. With tremendous respect, he's trying to sit there and go, for all, when we say here in the States, for all due respect, then you're about to slam somebody. And so Brazil did that, and he was going after Siobhan Ahern. Siobhan stood up to him, and I loved it. What Alan Brazil does not know, may not care to know, is that it can be good business, and what it does is it grows the game. What Alan Brazil may believe grows the game would be just seeing Manchester United competing for a title, and that's it, in his own little universe. But Alan Brazil seems to be of the thought pattern that women's soccer, specifically in his own, in his own local universe of Manchester United, no one gives an ish. I'd hate to break it to him, but people do. People care on the blue side of Manchester City too. all the money that's being invested into football itself in Europe. Dude, all you got to do is look at what Michelle Kang is doing. Love to hear the comments after Alan Brazil maybe shook Michelle Kang's hand to find out about the economics of sport. Bring him to the States. Show him what's going on in insert city here. See what's going on in San Diego. See what's going on in Los Angeles. See what's going on in Portland. See what's going on in Kansas City. All of which I would imagine he would poo-poo out of the blocks. Just, Kansas City. That's like, it's like Sheffield or something. Pick a small town that he would, be completely and totally just kicking dirt over as a comparison. Like I said, I don't know my UK geography, but yeah, pick a medium-sized town that's not London or Manchester, and Alan Brazil will kick dirt on it. But when you have opinions like that, you don't know who you influence. You know whose opinions you're reinforcing, whatever demographic that is. But when you have opinions like that and you voice those kinds of opinions, very closed off opinions, uninformed opinions, because he had to be corrected on the air by Siobhan Ahern about the impact of the program she was talking about. Siobhan Ahern is our star of the week, by the way. I just made that up. We always have to be good stewards of the game. I try to be a good steward of the game and show it the respect it deserves, regardless of level, every single day we are here. Everyone here at SDH does that, knows the value of it, knows the value of the game regardless of level, regardless of competitor, regardless of age, regardless of sex, regardless of whatever byline or qualifier that you want to put onto it is. Alan Brazil and the character of Alan Brazil, like I said, until further evidence comes that is actually what he thinks as an individual, and it's not just a work or an opinion on air. He's not just a character of Alan Brazil. But you never know who you're going to touch. You never know who's going to sit there and go, yeah, rah, he's right. You don't grow the game that way. You're not showing the game the proper respect by being as closed off as you are in that instance. Tremendous respect, Siobhan. Tremendous respect, Alan Brazil, would be to show the women's game the recognition it deserves for its growth. No one cares. Sorry, you're wrong. Your team cares. Others need to care better, but your team cares. Your fans care. Check out the cues on a rivalry day. Everywhere you turn, the game is growing. And then you have a dinosaur like Alan Brazil who wants to contract it and disrespect it in an incident like that. Like I said, I debated for hours in my head if I should have that on the air. But I thought at the end of the day, it was important to shine some light on it and to put a voice to it. Once again, thanks to our friends at TalkSport and the Telegraph for having the article. Thank you, Tom Morgan. To expose individuals like this for their opinions that are ill-informed, uninformed, ill-informed, lacking in fact, and lacking in forethought, and not wanting to grow the game. You never know who you're going to touch. You never know who you're going to see. You never know who you're going to impact. And when you have someone say something like that, you're walking it backwards. You've just thrown water onto the dirt, and you're hoping that folks kind of walk in there and look at their white boots and sit there and go, ew, and walk backward. Make the game better. Understand what's going on multiple levels. Understand that the game's growing a lot faster than we are. And you got to be there for it each and every time. And that's what we try to do here at SDH every single day. Jason, you know his love for the game. I call him the Pied Piper of soccer. Jason is my immediate oracle when it comes to the sport. And I love getting opinions from all the other places. And I love hearing how it grows from everybody when we go out and see folks, when we go out and talk to folks, when we go to events, when we cover high school, we cover college, cover pro, all these kinds of opinions, all of this mix that we talk about every single day. For me, it's an education every day. And when you have individuals like Alan Brazil who are in a position to educate, enlighten, inform, and perhaps entertain all at the same time, but you have an opinion like you have, then you're educating people about where you need to grow. You're informing people about where you're coming from. You're enlightening folks about who you may be. And your entertainment factor is disappointing. 2 minutes got me off and running. We're in the plus time. Sorry about that. All right. All right. So let me see if there's any other stuff. We'll go over juice boxes in the FA Cup. And once again, thank you for letting me rant. We'll go over your stuff before we get out of here, too. Liverpool blew out Spurs. No surprise. Apparently, Ange tried to park the bus. It didn't work. Bunny Shaw is not playing in the match this weekend because of what we talked about with Bunny Shaw and stupidity down here and people reaching out and saying vile things on social media. So Bunny Shaw is not playing. She pulled out of the WSL semi because of what has been posted to social media. Find them, prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law, and good luck enforcing the idea that they will never be able to see anything in their favorite sport. Manchester City apparently has launched a new legal action against the Premier League. Defending champs are looking to challenge the rules on associate party transactions again. News comes as they remain in dispute over the initial challenge to rules that control how much money clubs can generate through sponsorships from companies with connected owners like Etihad Airways, Stadium, all that kind of stuff. What's more, the verdict on the 130 charges is also imminent. So Manchester City launching a new argument against the Premier League. I know you're shocked. Derby sacked Paul Warren. Malen has been omitted from Villa's Champions League squad. Manchester City and Chelsea set for a Women's Champions League showdown. That draw was before the show this morning. Chelsea, Manchester City in the quarters. Arsenal will take on Real Madrid. Barcelona get Wolfsburg. That's 3 of the 4. Where's the 4th one? Barca and Chelsea in the same half of the draw. So Chelsea, Manchester City, Arsenal, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Wolfsburg, and the winner of that tie faces Chelsea or City, Group C. So that's 3 of the 4. So that's where we are. 3 of the 4 heading into the semifinals. But Chelsea, Manchester City, that was the draw in the FA. In the Women's Champions League, so that was the draw. So City and Chelsea going. Ange continues to stay and continue to work as normal. The January transfer window, according to FIFA's International Transfer Snapshot, FIFA Legal and Compliance Division, which is now based in Miami, 5,863 international transfers recorded in men's professional football in January, highest ever figure for any window, 20% higher than the previous record a year ago. $2.35 billion spent by clubs on international transfer fees, also a new time high, 58% higher compared to a year ago, 47% higher than the previous record 2 years ago. New records. Hey, Alan Brazil, paragraph. New records were also set in both categories in women's professional football. $5.8 million spent by clubs on international transfer fees, highest ever in any January window, and more than twice the previous record, up 181% from January 24. 455 international transfers recorded in the women's game, up 22.6% compared to a year ago. England spent $621.6 million on transfer fees. Germany was about not quite half of that, so probably 30% of that, just under 296. Italy, France, Saudi Arabia were the spenders. The receivers: France, Germany, England, Portugal, Italy. Brazil had the most incoming transfers at 471. Country with the highest number of outgoing transfers was Argentina, followed by Brazil, England. Portugal was number 5. You know what was number 4? Outbound transfers in the men's game? The United States. 188 outgoing transfers. 4th in the country. 4th in the world. England top spenders in women's football, too. Hey, Alan Brazil, paragraph. Someone needs to send him this article. Clubs in England were the top spenders in women's football, too, $2.3 million. They also made the most incoming transfers, 39. January 2025 was the first ever transfer window to witness transfer fees of more than $1 million in women's professional football. We all know who that was. It's Naomi Girma. Where is she? Chelsea. Sorry, it's not Manchester United. Alan Brazil went from an oy vey to an oy gevalt very quickly this morning on the show. Okay, so FA Cup. Let me go there because you guys are probably sick of my rambling about dinosaurs. Like I said, Shaban is our all-star of the week, without question. She is our all-star of the week. All right, FA Cup, juice boxes. We do have Monday Night Football. We did talk about Leicester. Leicester and Manchester City. Alan Brazil's Manchester United is a minus 286, hosting Leicester at 3 o'clock. Tomorrow, I'll blow through the matchups because then you got tomorrow 3 on Sunday, 1 on Monday, 1 on Tuesday. So this kind of goes all over the place before the Premier League kicks back in. Leeds favored at home against Millwall at a minus 200. Manchester City favored at a minus 1,000 on the road at Leyton Orient. Those are the two 7:15 games tomorrow morning. 10 o'clock. Ipswich at a plus 129 at Coventry City. Lampard's doing well. They're chasing after a playoff. Everton, a dog at home to Bournemouth at a plus 137. Preston North End a plus 122 hosting Wickham. Southampton minus 135 hosting Burnley at a plus 400. Stoke a plus 112 hosting Cardiff. Wigan a plus 990 hosting Fulham at a minus 400. Late games at 12:45. Newcastle a minus 196 at Birmingham City. Tom Brady will not be playing in that one. And at 3 o'clock, Brighton is a plus 191 hosting Chelsea at a plus 125. Saturday, that's Saturday. So Sunday, Wolves a minus 141 at the Ewood to take on Blackburn Rovers. Plymouth, a big underdog hosting Liverpool at a minus 667. Plymouth Argyle a plus 1557. Villa hosting Spurs at a minus 141. Spurs are a plus 324. Now, what to watch today, where to watch it, how to watch it, gossip, rumor, and innuendo before we get out of here. Okay. Now, going into the gossip, rumor, and innuendo section, there always seems to be gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be happening quickly. But as I find by going to the BBC every day and finding out what they're staring at, then I can maybe make changes to my fantasy team. Chelsea confident of a Mark Gahey return. They think he'll join them instead of Spurs in the summer. Newcastle value Alexander Isak, according to Fichajes, at £150 million. Chelsea opening to selling Andre Santos, who's on loan to Strasbourg at the end of the year. Even as Enzo Maresca said, he wants him to be a part of the lineup next season. Arsenal looked at 4 forwards in the January transfer window, according to the 4-letter paper, opted not to bring in one because of a lack of quality options. Newcastle have rejected Galatasaray's bid for Kieran Trippier. Remember, their window is open for another 5 days. United, Chelsea, Newcastle interested in Jean-Philippe Mateta, who is yet to sign a new contract at Crystal Palace. Chelsea expected to lower their asking price for Kieran Dewsbury-Hall after transfer talks failed in January. United set to be more than £27 million pounds down on their anticipated Premier League prize money this season. 62 million pound release clause for Mateus Cunha. We talked about that. No restrictions on which club can activate it. Stuttgart interested in Cesc Fabregas as their next manager should Sebastian Hoeneß leave the Bundesliga club in the summer. So that's your gossip, rumor, and innuendo for this morning. All right, so what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it today. Obviously, like I said, FA Cup, 3 o'clock, and then you got the FA Cup all day tomorrow. So BN in Espanol, they have PSG and Monaco at 3 o'clock. Get all the BNs. Nuestro Tele, CDO, for the fans, Liga 1 Max, Liga 1 Max Pro, our buddy Nino Torres at Gold TV. All of that, you can get that at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. Helps the network out, helps out Fanatis, helps you turn into more of a degenerate. You can watch Liga, BN in Espanol. They're simulcasting PSG and Monaco at 3. FS2, the U17 qualifiers, Bermuda, Curacao at 7 o'clock. Deportes, ESPN Deportes simulcasting Rayo Vallecano, Real Valladolid at 3. Fox Deportes should be heading toward the second half of a match in a game that we neither league in the league that we neither condone, endorse, nor promote. Gold TV, Uruguayan Primera, doubleheader 5 and 7:30. Cerro Largo Progreso, Plaza Colonia, and Wanderers. FA Cup is on the plus. Bundesliga is on the plus. Bayern Munich, Werder Bremen at 2:20. Bundesliga B is on at 12:30. And La Liga is on at 3. Fox Soccer Plus has the league that we neither condone, endorse, nor promote going on right now, plus 2 other qualifiers in the U17s. Anguilla, Turks and Caicos at 2. BVI and St. Martin at 5. All right. That's another week. And remember, keep an eye out and see if anything comes out of what goes on with Atlanta United New England Revolution. That one is tomorrow at IMG Academy. We'll see what we can talk about if any information comes out of IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida on the weekend. We'll talk about that on Monday. Thanks to Scott Wells, the head coach at Gardner-Webb. And thanks to Scott Wells, the head coach at Asheville City, for coming on to talking about Open Cup, Gardner-Webb, and how Western North Carolina is still recovering after Helene. Thanks to Greg Garza for hopping in from a hotel room and talking about mentoring and coming at things from different angles and all those kinds of things. Before we get out of here, let me go back and just wrap up with what's going on in the Twitch pitch. David, I was close. David says, I was hoping for a kick him in the you-know-what was the first thing he was hoping I was going to say I would do. Might hurt my foot. Closed-mindedness. Definitely stupidity down here. And then Alex, Alex says he's the kind of guy who thinks it's okay as a charitable cause and no one really cares as a sporting merit perspective. You know, it's like the, oh, isn't that cute? And you tap it on the back of the head kind of thing. And many places where there's apathy, and he's right, but if you treat it seriously, it is a serious endeavor. You treat it seriously, people will look at you seriously. Amen. People truly care from a sporting perspective. And seriously, bring him over here. Watch him grow. Seriously. Thanks again, David. Good question. That's a Hoff question. Flags out Friday for Atlanta United. We got to ask the Hoff about that. So we'll see. We'll see when that is, and we'll see what happens. So just put your flags out now because you never know. Once again, back Monday, 9:05, and we will talk about the weekend, get you ready for what's going on. Remember, our soccer coverage for the high school game starts at on Tuesday. Doubleheader, North Atlanta at Decatur. That is going to be on our Mixlr feed at soccerdownhere.mixlr.com. Then we're going to have the Creek Cup on SDH Mixlr and SDH2. Boys on SDH1, I believe. Girls on SDH2, except for maybe Wednesday where things might be switched up a little bit. But Creek Cup is going to be on soccerdownhere.mixlr.com and SDH2 on our Mixlr channels Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'll be at Northview on the girls' side. Jason and the cast of thousands will be wandering from place to place, but that'll be the official start of our high school coverage when it comes to this season and getting ready for all of that. One more thing before we go. It's the reminder about Inter Atlanta and what they're doing on Sunday afternoon from 4 to 6. So skip the pregame shows, go to Inter Atlanta, and then you're out by 6, and then you're home by kickoff. Kickoff is at 6:30. Inter Atlanta, February 9th, 4 to 6, special event for National Girls and Women in Sports Day. Free event open to all. Pickup soccer, free pizza, panel discussion with current college women athletes, exciting prize raffles. Great opportunity for young athletes to connect, play, hear from inspiring women in sports. More details available at interatlantafc.com. interatlantafc.com, celebrating National Women in Sports Day. So back at it again, once again, 9:05 on your Monday morning. We'll go through everything that happened from the weekend, and we will get you ready for yet another week as we get that much closer to the beginning of the regular season in Major League Soccer with Slam or the Four Horsemen or whatever we come up with. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to catching up with all of y'all as we go here. And since it is Friday, we have to end the show in a certain way. So here it is. Play it safe, everybody. Mucha plata, y'all. Might see you this weekend if we're out and about. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your Saturday. Enjoy your Sunday. But back here Monday morning, 9:05 Eastern. Play it safe, everybody. Enjoy.
Equipment started asking us questions, and our beepers sent electric shocks just through our body like a cattle prod. Out in the warehouse, the trucks kept banging into the docks, not even thinking about stopping. Oh, our frail bodies were strapped to the chairs, and our chairs were chained to the desks. Our pleas for justice were ignored, and the end seemed near. But we busted our slave drivers' little bitty balls. We've charged out of their brick fortress. The streets are